Welcome to Grievance's second Star Citizen cast. I'm Memo, your host this evening. I have with me tonight as co-host Whoop, and as our special guest is Lettles. Welcome, Lettles. We're gonna get right into it here. How are you tonight, Whoop?
I'm doing perfectly fine.
Lettles, I know
Yeah.
you've prepared for this. How are you doing this evening?
I am great. Thank you for asking.
We were supposed to have a Geek Domo as a special guest, but there were some technical difficulties and he was unable to join us, and Lettles was kind enough to fill in and discuss Star Citizen with us. We're going to get right into it here. You've watched the sizzle reel. That is a fantastic video. It's unimaginable to me that anybody can watch that and just not want to go play this game. Thoughts, Whoop?
I really like the way the scythe comes down to start attacking the carrier ship. That really that brings memories to me to other raiding type games and things like that. I like to see people flying in squadrons, so that'd be really awesome to be able to set up. I'm really not sure if we're gonna be able to do that, but that'd be really cool.
That's one of the things about the game. It's in such an early stage that we're not sure even where the game is heading and where it's going. There's a lot of good info out there, but you bringing up the ships, that's a good point. Would you like to talk about those, Whoop?
Sure. What ship do you have?
I have the Constellation. It isn't the ship I started with. I'm a veteran backer, and I got involved, I guess, back in April, May. Might have been February of this year. I came across it on our forums. A couple of our guild members were discussing it, and I had not even heard of the game. So I started looking into it and was instantly fascinated by it. I started out with the very entry-level ship, which is the Aurora, and we will be showing a video on that in a bit and talking about it. And I upgraded from there into a Constellation, which they describe as a cross between Serenity and the Millennium Falcon. And those two ship combos, for me, those are the ships. It's a four-person ship, which was something else, being someone that likes to play games with people and, not single player. You need three other people to help man your ship at times.
Lettles, what kind of ships do you like? Do you like the explorer ships? Do you like to mine? Do you like to air combat?
When I played Eve, I really got into the scavenging, like going in after people, teleporting or tethering everything behind me, and then breaking it down into like different crafting stuff. I really like that aspect of it.
That's
No.
a good point. That is actually one of the stretch goals they have added is a scavenging class to where it's a whole profession on its own now. Go out there and pick up the leavings from battle, derelict vehicles, or
Mhm.
abandoned stuff. Kind of leads us into the stretch goals as well. Whoop.
The game has reached over $23 million so far, and it was announced, what, a year, 2 years ago? 1 year?
1 year ago, October. It
There you
just
go.
hit its year anniversary, and it's recently hitting about $1 million a week in crowdfunding. Just this week, we hit the $23 million goal, which that goal gives you the ability to. What was the abilities for that goal? The 23 million. Whoop.
The last one is that Zion Scout, the one that's talking
They
about with
added a
the
alien
multiple
ship.
propulsions.
And an alien ship that Whoop kind of compared it to the way that a helicopter would handle, being able to stop, turn on a 90-degree angle. That's another interesting thing about the ships. Each ship is going to have its own set flying style, abilities, strengths, and weaknesses, instead of just having a standard framework for every ship you go into. So it'll be more about skill as opposed to how much money you can dump into equipment, which that's always a concern for people, because you can get right in entry level if you're skillful and still compete with people who've been playing a while that have put the time into the game. And I know that's always something people look at. Any other
Lettles,
comments on the stretch goals?
I've only really interacted with stretch goals on one game on Kickstarter, and that was Shadowrun Online. So I mean, hopefully they can actually get those stretch goals, because they got probably a lot more money than they thought they were gonna get. So hopefully they don't have any issues meeting all those goals that they just set.
Lettles, you said that you were going to be doing mining possibly. What is more important for you in a vehicle? Is it the capacity, the tractors, how many hard points you can put on it?
I don't care about speed. I love how much customization I can put into it, like how many little pieces of like guns and Eve, I'll just use Eve as a reference. You could have like tractor beams and things that would break stuff down. So I like to have all the different customization points on it.
Well, the customization seems to be pretty much at this point endless in this game. Right now they have a module, a hangar module out, to where if you're a veteran backer and you've bought into the game, you actually can visit a hangar with your ships in it. You can flip levers, spin dials, get in gun turrets, spin around. Nothing's functional, but you can get in there and actually see what your fleet of ships are. We actually have a guild member that is in guild that is, I think he's sitting at 22 ships right now in game.
Wow.
Which is just amazing. We're going to be contacting him about a future spot on the show. We could probably do a whole show just talking about the various ships that he has and why.
Nice.
What class are you interested in, Whoop? I mean,
Probably miner. I'm
Miner.
not very good at the air combat, but I'll give it a shot. Like a mercenary work, something like that. I'm not a very good pirate. I don't understand how the black market might play a role in it, or it might not. How do they get their ships, and how do they get their upgrades compared to the not black market on the regular universe? I think it would be easier for me to do that. I'm not much of an explorer. I don't want to be the first to do anything. It's not into me.
I don't know if I mind being the first to do anything. It's just it never turns out that way. Yeah,
First to fly, first to die. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of the space combat, they've compared it almost to like a real world flight simulator.
Oh,
It's going to be
God.
the best comparison to it. Yeah. So there's things like Microsoft Flight Simulator you can download and play with for free, and I've tried that, and I'm horrifically bad at it. So
I've crashed so many airplanes. So many.
I've logged
Yeah.
over 1,000 hours on Battlefield 3 in the helicopter.
braver than I, man. They go up, they come back down, usually upside down. But the parts of the game, there's also a standalone part of the game called Squadron 42 that they're supposed to have a dogfighting module out for this, where you can go against AI and your friends in November or December of this year, where you'll be able to get in the ships and see what they can do. But it's a separate lead-in game. Very, very good comparison to it would be, Battlefield's multiplayer or co-op campaign, and then into the multiplayer campaign. You can play it totally by yourself, and you don't need to play it to get into Star Citizen, but it'll give you perks and bonuses and things like that once you are into the full game. I mean, that sounds kind of fascinating to me, that they'll have a setup game where you can go in, you can try the ships, you can try combat, and it'll give you perks and bonuses in launching to the full game. But when you start separately, or you want to start over or do something like that, you can skip over that. It's not necessary. I think
They had the same. They had the same kind of thing in Brink, where they had this single player version, and as you completed achievements and victories and things like that, you would unlock things for your gun or character customization. So I understand that would be a really positive way in order to get people started in it. You're not starting day one out in multiplayer, but it is an upgrade.
It's kind of like an extended tutorial, which I've always appreciated those. Not so much on replay value, but for the first part of the game, because I'm usually a little hesitant to get out in a game especially like this, where I am not, like you said, the fighter pilot skills are going to be severely lacking. All the different things you can do: scavenger, miner, fuel, you transport, and all the ships. Most of the ships, besides the straight out fighters, are set up to do that. Do we want to take a look at the Aurora commercial, Dash?
So I was looking at the new Aurora, but then I was thinking, maybe I should get something that looks a little classy. But then I was like, no, I need something that can pull some serious weight. Maybe I don't need all that cargo space. What about the Legionnaire? Now we're talking. How about some bigger guns? Little bigger. No, a little bigger. There you go. And maybe some rockets, too. Actually, I should probably upgrade the power plant. I did like the leather seats on that LX, though. Yeah, perfect. All right, let's see what this baby can do. Maybe I do need bigger cargo.
RSI's Aurora. There are many like it, but this one is yours.
That's a great video. That kind of shows you that they're gonna approach things with a a bit of a sense of humor too, which I for one always appreciate in games.
It really is a great video. It shows off a lot of parts of the starting vehicle that most people get. You can look at the Aurora and all the different capabilities that it has. It shows off the different painting styles you can get, the different seats you can get, all different capabilities of the vehicle itself. It's multi-role.
The cargo loadout, the weapon loadout, that's going to be one of your most versatile ships in the game. What I know you've looked through the ships pretty extensively. Which one of those interests you the most?
I'm probably going to start with the 300i, but I'm probably going to end up getting some kind of freelance or something like that. I like something with some firepower to defend myself, but I'm not going to do that good at it at all.
Well, that seems like a versatile ship as well. What I know you said salvaging, Lettles. What kind of besides that, are you an explorer, pirate? Can you crash some starships in this, or?
I mean, this game is going to change, like, my whole way of playing, because normally the game pretty much plays itself. Like, you click on something, and then you hit a button, and it goes and does its thing. But now I'm actually going to have to, like, actually aim my bullets, and so I guess I'll try to attack people.
Well, running through the Squadron 42 game will definitely, you'll know exactly where you stand by the time you're done with that and into the rest of the game, whether it's viable to be, even an escort for transports, because that's one of the things you can do to earn money. You can escort transport ships and protect them from pirates and such. But I mean, that little prequel to the game, a little separate flight simulator part, will pretty much, in my mind, let me know exactly where I'm gonna stand with that. And I don't think it's gonna be well, but I might be surprised if Microsoft Flight Simulator's any test to that. I won't be, but I'm definitely looking forward to, it's been a long time since I've played a space game where your ship mattered. And for those of us who have played Star Wars, you got on your ship when you had to go from plot to plot, and that was about it. And that's where your crafters were located, and that was about it. And this game is going to center around your ship and where you can go on it.
Why would I want to get off?
Well, one of the last things that they added in the stretch goal, I think at 22 or 21, was they added first-person combat on selected planets. So if you wanted to go down and do something planet-sidey or battlefieldy, you have planets you can go to, and you can, have your characters decked out to, do first-person combat. And that's one of the stretch goals they've put in.
Yeah, that was at 20 million. And
20 million?
I'm afraid to see it go by the way of Dust 514 because that came off horrible. I wasn't an Eve player at the time, but I saw all the reviews on it. I saw a bunch of their gamer Catalyst. A couple of our friends who play in Grievance told me that they weren't interested in it at all. They tried it and it wasn't for
Yeah,
them.
I don't think it's going to go that way. These aren't things that they're just tacking on. These are things that if they get this amount of money, they're already prepared on how to implement it. It's not like a, you know, I hate to keep referring back to SWOTAR because it was a great game and I loved it. But if Space Combat did not feel like an add-on to you that was just kind of tacked on there at the end without a lot of thought, then you were playing a different game than me. And I don't think that the first person is going to be like this in this. They're gonna give it their all.
Well, yeah,
It's
Tor had the big managed. I think they just got mismanaged. So hopefully, Star Citizen can
Well, no publisher
get their
breathing
stuff
down their
together.
neck for release because they're totally crowdfunded, and they're already AAA status as far as game goes. And they don't have anyone saying this is the date you have to get out because we need to start pulling in the money at this point. The
Yeah.
game is going to have it's going to be a purchase to play. If you're a backer and you get even any of the small packages that come in with even your starter ships, you get alpha, beta access, and game access. You've already bought the game, and who doesn't spend? What's a game cost now? $60 minimum
Yeah.
for a AAA title.
yeah,
And that's
yeah.
pretty well standard. And to pay that and get alpha, beta access, plus once you pay in from there on out, you get every stretch goal. I think I've been in since the $12 million stretch goal. So all these little things they've added, and they've been little. From one of them was like you got a blaster pistol back in the very first of the teens, and now they're like the 25 million stretch goal they're coming up on after 24 is going to be they're going to expand their alpha out of the United States. That's their big stretch goal at 25, which that's fantastic. They're planning on having almost a full launch alpha, and that to me is amazing.
Yeah, they got like a companion app. They got full orchestra accompaniment. Those are pretty awesome sounding, actually. That's like some big stuff right there.
Yeah, there's so many possibilities with this game, and I hate to sound like a giant fanboy because I didn't know about this game a year ago, and I have basically done a ton of research on it. And when you see games reach where this game's reaching, it's often kind of scary because any of us who've been playing games for as long as we have seen some games that you wanted so badly to be so awesome, and they were not.
Tor.
Smile, laugh, yeah, exactly. That was one for me as well. But we've all had that game that we knew it was going to be awesome, and then unfortunately, it was not.
That happens in every game style, though.
Yeah.
We're kind of hoping that this one, being an indie game, not having a developer breathing down their neck, they'll actually focus on the source material and give us something really worth playing.
And the talent of Chris Roberts behind it and his vision is something that that's got a lot of people on board with it. But yeah, it does worry me a little bit about how much they are doing because this has really never been done before. There's never been a game that's been crowdfunded like this that's even remotely made this, and it seems like it's picking up more steam as it goes. From the goals I was in, the first couple, there were weeks between those goals, and in the past 3 or 4 weeks, they've hit like 4 million in stretch goals, which
I was doing
that's
the
like
research.
a million a week.
I was doing the research for this game, and I wanted to install Eve again, and I wanted to see my old X-wing versus TIE fighter, and I want to see all those other space combats that I've done before, just so that way I can be like, that would be cool if they did this part. So this game really is exciting.
Yeah, I'm finding it that way as well. I looked up and reinstalled Rogue Squadron again. That was one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
played hours and hours and hours of that.
I had the Buick on the N64 version. That was awesome with the Z-wing. Yeah.
Do we want to run our slideshow on what ships that we have?
Sure. See if Letos gets interested in any of them. So that's the 300i.
Is that the 300 or yeah, that is
Yes.
300.
Yep.
That would be your base model.
And it comes in about 4 or 5 different variations between
All the way up to
exploring,
350.
combat. Yep.
All the way
And
from your family cruiser, or you can cruise in luxury up into your full combat dogfighter.
it's also released as a speed runner, a racing car. So we'll probably see a bunch of that.
The freelancer, I believe we have several of these in the guild. This is your long hauler kind of merchant cargo vessel.
That
It's also
looks
an
like something
explorer.
I'd
Yep.
like.
It comes with the built-in shower potty.
Nice.
That's always a bonus. I think the 300s are potty in your suit ships. There's a constellation that's what I've got.
And
It
that
even
one
comes with
actually
the
holds
Snub's
a.
Fighter.
Yeah, I was gonna say that one holds a ship, kind of like the little
Yep,
drones.
it has its own snub fighter that is manned.
And how many people can you equip in there?
It says 4. There's 2 seats, but there's 2 seats up front, and then there's 2 turrets. There's one on top and one on the bottom. You can see the gun things. You actually go up in those, and then there's one you go down into, and then the fourth person is to man the Merlin P-52, which is the snub fighter it can launch, which launches out of the bottom of the cargo bay.
That
Which
one looks
one's
so
that?
evil.
That's the Idris, isn't it?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, that's the 10-person like combat command
Holy
ship.
crap!
We have the guildie that has 22 ships is on the waiting list to get one of those as well, I believe.
That's the one with 10 positions that people can man.
10 crew members man that. We are not sure what all 10 of those positions are going to be. I would guess pilot, guns,
Well, I
some
sure
kind
hope
of
that they.
nav control.
I,
I'm not sure about that either.
I hope that it isn't just a pilot and all gunners, because they could really add a lot more to it. There's
Yeah.
another game called Artemis that's out right now, and it's 6-player. You have a captain who sits in a chair and tells you what to do. There's engineer. There's weapons, so there's shields. There's science officer, tech officer. So it would be nice to see him implement more positions for somebody to or more jobs for somebody to do in there, other than just gunner. Because it is cool
Yeah.
to like be on a ship and be like, yeah, I'm gonna sit here and just do whatever I want. Oh look, we're in fight. We're gonna go jump in the turret. Yeah, that's cool, but I just like to see more.
Yeah, one of the things this could branch out into with one of your bigger ships, like as you can have like a nav controller where you're doing space battles, and you have one central ship that is, your comm center for your fighters, snub fighters, your supply ships, and all that for an epic style space battle. Which, I mean, that puts a smile on everybody's face. Epic style space battle.
Yep. I do hope they have engineers that can. I don't know if they've talked about how they're going to have people switch their roles. Like, are they actually going to be walking around in the ship? And if you had that, you could have engineers, you could have medics, you could have someone said a cook and a cleaner. I would totally sign up to be a janitor. That'd be easy.
Janitor on the starship.
Yeah, you just
Well,
go
if
around
you
Cleaning
remember what
cleaning up
happened to
trash
the Death,
cans.
if you remember what happened to the Death Star, it was not a good place to be a janitor. So that could go really wrong. That brings up Death of a Spaceman, which you probably haven't gotten to that, Lettles, but the way they have a whole storyline behind the way they're gonna handle death. There is permadeath in this game,
Really?
but kind of. There's permadeath where characters live, grow old, get injured, they die, and you have a line of succession that goes on. So your character dies, and he bequeaths his stuff to the next character down the line. And they've recently added in with one of the stretch goals, or just a information they've just released, where like a ship like mine that has 4 slots for people to be in, you can purchase NPC slots where you have NPCs that when you don't have live people to help run your ship, these NPCs would fill these slots, not as well as a live person, but they would fill the positions. You can design those up from the ground up just like you would with any character from the character creator. When your character dies, you can bequeath your stuff to one of those and just carry on as one of your NPCs becoming your main character. And your NPCs can go off and you can when you have people guest on your ship, they can guest as one of your NPCs, or they can come in as their own character. But there is going to be permadeath that you will want to avoid in this game, which a lot of us have been wanting for a long time. Yes, because there is no consequences. There needs to be some kind of consequence to dying, to where not a consequence to where your game's over and all your stuff's gone, but to where I don't want to do that. It's not worth just running in there and dying because I'll have to, go back and do this, that, and the other.
That would be nice.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that. I really am. If there's a consequence, that's fine, but don't make me lose my character. I was the second highest death toll on my EQ2 server. Second highest, okay? I'm going to run out of names. There's no way that's going to work for me.
Recycle. So once the first 5 generations are dead, it can be Whoop-No the 6th, Whoop-No the 7th. I mean, recycle. Because I will have a high death toll as well. I don't know about server high, man. That's a good one.
Yeah.
But I tend to run in and start blasting and then think quite a bit later. But there needs to be some kind of penalty. There's so many games where it's like, well, why not die? Or you're gonna jump ahead and you can get to this far, you die. You're gonna start there. I mean, there needs to be some kind of penalty to where it's a reason why you don't want to die. Not game ending like, this 50 hours I've put into this character are gone now because I died, but something. And I think that's a delicate balance to where you don't want to make it so bad that people want to stop playing, but you want to make it bad enough to where people don't want to die.
Yeah, I think a lot of MMO players or just people who play online games in general want that challenge, and I don't think any developers really taken that step to try and make it challenging.
Exactly. I think it goes back to that fine line you go between making it a penalty but not making it so bad that people are just like, well, forget this.
You can just look at Dark Souls. That was horrible.
I was just thinking about that, actually.
Yeah. Like, oh, look, I killed all this stuff and I got all this. Oh, I'm dead. I just lost all that. Oh.
Where was my bonfire? 2 hours back? All right. New character.
Hey. Yeah, there's a penalty. I understand that. Like damage my equipment, take money. Okay, but make me start over a whole new character. I'm not too keen of that. No.
Yeah, there's a lot that we don't know about the game, and they are really good about keeping the community and the people updated on what is going on and the game development. The hangar module is something I've never seen a game do before, to where they put all the ship models out there for you and you can go and give feedback on them. And I mean, there have actually been redesigns on the ships because people are like, well, this cargo space laid out here doesn't work. Why is it like that? And they've went in and done some redesigns on some of the ships from player feedback, and that's refreshing too, to see them listening to the player base and not just the people that complain, but people with constructive things to say about the game. And that for me is always been important to see that player input matters, not just the people that yell the loudest, but the people that make the most sense.
Yeah, because you don't want to end up with another cataclysm where everyone that complains got their wish, and then now everyone is a god.
Hated it. Yeah,
and they're like, "This is too easy. Why did you do this?" Because you asked for it.
Do we have any more videos or slides, or was that all for us, Dash?
I think that's all the videos.
Do we have any final sum-ups here? Does anybody else have any more input to give?
Well, there's a lot still left that we can see in the game. They're talking about races, and they're talking about different weapons and shields combinations. I'd like to see all that information come out pretty soon, so that way I can plan out what I'm going to play.
Exactly. We're still probably till 2015 from the game coming out.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking at a limited dogfighting alpha this end of this year, though. So for people that have invested in the game, you're going to get to play parts of the game for the next 2 years. So that is definitely something to look forward to. But like Whoop says, there is so much that we don't know. And it seems like every little bit of information they put out just gives me 50, 100 more questions I want to ask that there's no answer for. Any final words, Lettles?
Well, I mean, they've got all this money, and what I think has been pivotal for really bad games recently is just getting the management. Honestly, I hope they manage their money well. I hope they manage their time well, and get it going. Like so it's actually good instead of like rushing it out.
I don't think by any means they're rushing it out. And I think they are taking their time with it. I mean, they're not projecting the game till 2015, so that's a nice good buffer there. But that's always a good point. They don't have a publisher hanging over their head saying we need the money back from this. We need to get this in launch so we can start bringing in revenue. So that's something. And
But we do need a. Oh, sorry.
my biggest worry is they're going to keep pushing it back and back to add more and more stuff until it's perfect. Because Chris Robertson has kind of a reputation for being a serious perfectionist, and without any kind of we need to get the game out because we need the revenue stream, he might keep it going for a long, long time.
And we need a new space game bad because
We
Eve
do.
is blowing. I mean, it's not bad, but it's just like you guys said earlier. People have been playing that
Dated.
game for years, and there is a huge like buffer between the people who've been playing and the people that want to start, and it's just not. It doesn't work like it used to,
Well,
where someone
it
can
is
just jump
dated.
in.
And that will happen. We have a question from Lumavox. The ship fights will be instanced. From what I've heard, yes. They haven't said exactly what that will mean as far as your personal server per their server. I've heard anything from 5 to 25 to 50 to 100 ships per instance. I've heard all different kinds of numbers. So I can't really give a total answer on that, but there will be instancing in the game from what I have heard up to this point,
Well, it's
which is
interesting.
both good and bad.
On the Cry 3 engine, there's no zoning. At least they claim it like they did in other games. But the world is so big, or the universe is so big, but then it keeps on generating more and more the further you go out, and it gets more detailed the further you go into it. So it's interesting that there's going to be an instance, but yet it's going to be ever growing.
Yeah, they haven't put out enough details for me to even make a good good statement on that. I see the need for instancing because of the if you're having a space battle, it's just like how much can your computer draw? And they've flat out said that if you have an entry-level system, you're going to have issues with the game. They're not building it for, it's not going to be on, it's a PC platform game. It's not going to be a console game. They're building it for computers.
People are going
That's
to
how it should
upgrade. Might have to get a new video card or something.
Another question from Lumix. He asks about the how they're gonna transition from persistent verse to instances. And he asks if it's going to be a lame loading screen. I don't know of any other way that you go between an instance and persistent besides a loading screen. Maybe they'll have something different. We don't know yet. But I mean,
The videos that they were shown before, it looks like the loading screen is you getting into the cockpit and pushing all your buttons, and then zooming out of the hangar. So that's probably your loading screen. But as to how much Cry 3 engine and the persistent engines that they use after that, we're not really sure what it can handle.
yeah, it's a long time off as well. Memo, where is my goat? What does that even mean?
Doc,
My
I can
goat.
miss you, man.
Oh, he's asking about the facial hair. I have like a beard right now. You can't see it because it's white, Doc. I mean, I guess it's white and shiny looking. I guess I'm old. Nice question. Does anybody have anything else for us, question-wise?
I'm sorry, Memo.
You okay, Whoop?
Hair color for men.
Yeah.
Hair color for me. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, we're going to call it a night, folks. Lettles, thank you for stepping in for Geek Domo. And Whoop, you did a
Anytime.
fantastic job.
Thank you.
You can cut us now, Dash. Thanks, everybody.
See you later.
Yes.